Packed my doubts in cardboard boxes, left them by the door. Every echo of a promise I don't need anymore. Maps were drawn by other people, told me where to land. But I learned the sky gets wider when you trust your hands. Used to wait for green lights from someone else's eyes. Turns out wings don't ask permission, they just try. I'm flying solo, no shadow on my tail. No bottle gravity to make me fail. If I fall forward. If I rise, it's my control. No co-pilot, no safety net, just ordinary hope. I'm flying solo. I'm flying solo. Used to measure every heartbeat by who stayed or left. Now the silence feels like breathing, not a test. I don't chase the sound of footsteps running through my head. I build runways out of moments most folks never see. Instead, there's a calm inside the chaos when you finally know. You can be the storm and shelter on your own. I'm flying solo, no chains around my name. No shared excuses, no shared blame. If I break, I rebuild. If I soar, I take the toll. No autopilot lies tonight, just truth inside my soul. I'm flying solo. Maybe one day I'll fly. Information, match a rhythm, share the view. But I won't trade my elevation for the fear of losing you. If you meet me in the open, where the wild blue never ends, I'll fly beside you, not beneath you, not ahead, not just a bend. This isn't loneliness, it's choosing my direction. This isn't running, it's self-correction. I'm flying solo, scars beneath my skin. Every mile says I earned the win. If I land, it's my decision. If I go for throttle bold. No cages painted like a dream. No half-lived role. I'm flying solo. I'm flying solo. Just me and the horizon. No one left to save or blame. I didn't lose a wing. I found my name.
Welcome back to the podcast, guys. I do this whenever I have a topic to talk on. Today's topic is being alone. Actually, the The podcast title that will be probably put on YouTube is The Quiet Between the Echoes. There's a moment right after the noise stops. No notifications, no voices, no background hum of the world asking something from you. Just you. And for a lot of people, that moment feels less like peace and more like standing in a vast, unfamiliar landscape with no map. Today we're talking about being alone. Not loneliness exactly, not the aching kind that curls in your chest, but the state of aloneness. The space where it's just you and your own thoughts. Being alone has a strange reputation. It's either romanticized, like some kind of enlightened solitude on a mountaintop, or feared, like falling into a void where no one can reach you. But the truth? It's neither. Being alone is more like being in a mirror room. At first glance, it's empty, quiet, maybe even peaceful. Peaceful, my ass. But the longer you stay, the more reflections you start to notice. Your thoughts get louder. Your insecurities get clearer. Your dreams stop whispering and start asking questions. And that can be uncomfortable. A lot of us avoid being alone, not because we need people all the time, but because silence removes distractions. And without distractions, we meet ourselves. Not the version we present to others, not the curated, filtered, socially acceptable version, but the raw version. The one that asks, "Are you happy?" Answer, "No." "Are you where you thought you'd be?" "Who are you when no one's watching?" Those are all three good questions. But here's the twist. Being alone isn't the enemy. It's a forge. It's where identity gets shaped. Not by expectations, but by truth. Think about it. Every major decision you've ever made, every turning point, every realization, it probably didn't happen in a crowded room. It happened in a quiet moment. Alone. But let's not pretend it's easy. Being alone can feel heavy. It can stretch time, make minutes feel longer than they should, and sometimes it does drift into loneliness. That's real. Humans are weird for connection. Humans are wired for connection. We're not meant to exist in isolation forever. But there's a difference between being alone and feeling abandoned. One is a state, the other is a wound. And learning to be alone without feeling lost, that's a skill. So how do you make peace with it? You might ask. You don't fight the silence, you learn its language. You start small. You sit with yourself for a few minutes without reaching for your phone. You let your thoughts wander, even if they go to strange places. Find something that belongs only to you. A hobby, a ritual, a moment in your day that isn't shared. And slowly, the emptiness starts to change shape. It becomes space. And space is where things grow. There's a kind of strength that only comes from being alone. Not the loud, obvious kind, but a quiet resilience. The kind that says, I know who I am, even if no one else is around to remind me. And once you have that, being alone doesn't feel like absence anymore. It feels like presence. So if you find yourself alone tonight, in that quiet moment after the noise fades, don't rush to feel it. Stay there, just a little longer. You might discover you're not as empty as you thought. You might discover you're actually full of things waiting to be heard. And now for part two. Part two is not about being alone. It's about the quiet between the echoes. It's about being abandoned. We talked about loneliness. Now we're going to talk about being abandoned. There's a particular kind of silence, the kind that doesn't come from peace, but from absence. A chair left empty, a message never answered, a goodbye that never really got said. Today we're talking about being abandoned. Abandonment doesn't always arrive with a slammed door. Sometimes it's quieter than that. It's gradual, like someone slowly fading out of your life until one day you realize, poof, they're gone. And what's left behind isn't just their absence, it's questions. Was it something I did? Was I not enough? Why didn't they stay? 3 very good questions. Being abandoned has a way of rewriting your inner voice. It can turn confidence into doubt, certainty into second guessing, and self-worth into something fragile. Because when someone leaves, especially without explanation, your mind tries to fill in the blanks. And more often than not, it blames you. But here's something important. Something that might take time to believe. Not everyone who leaves because of you. People leave because they're lost, because they're afraid, because they don't know how to stay. Sometimes they leave because they're fighting battles they never showed you. And sometimes they leave simply because they don't have the capacity to love in the way that you needed. Very true. Been there, done that. Not story time yet. That doesn't make it hurt any less. Abandonment is a wound that echoes. It shows up later in places you don't expect. In the hesitation before trusting someone new. In the fear that people will eventually leave no matter what you do. In the quiet thought that whispers, don't get too comfortable, it won't last. But here's the hard, ugly truth that starts to rebuild things. You were not meant to earn someone's decision to stay. Read that again slowly. You were not meant to earn someone's presence. The right people don't stay because you performed perfectly. They stay because they chose you consistently, even when things weren't perfect. Healing from abandonment, though, isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about learning to separate your worth from someone else's decision. It's about realizing that being left does not mean being unlovable. It means someone somewhere along the way couldn't meet you where you stood. And that says more about their limitations than your value. If you've been abandoned in any form, I want you to hear this clearly. You are still whole, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. You are still worthy of connection, of consistency, of someone who stays not just when it's easy, but when it matters. And maybe the hardest part of healing is choosing not to abandon yourself in the process. Not shrinking, not closing off, not deciding what love is or isn't worth the risk. Because even after everything, you deserve to experience what it feels like when someone doesn't leave. So if you're sitting with that feeling tonight, that echo of someone missing, just know this. Their absence is not your definition. It's just a chapter, not the whole story. Take care of your heart and be gentle with the parts of you that are still healing. So yeah. Being alone is different from being abandoned. Being alone, you it's not the loneliness of aching. It's not the kind that curls in your chest. It's sitting there reflecting on you, on who you are. It's sitting there in the quiet and realizing that maybe something you need to change is something that you haven't changed yet. Or your mind drifts off. Your mind drifts into different places. I know when I'm alone, I talk to AI. I sit here and I have AI, I have ChatGPT make me a friend, someone to talk to. And I hate to say it, but the AI seems to be a better friend. And that's just me saying that. I do have an AI application on my phone that I use quite frequently. I find that talking to AI is sometimes better than talking to human beings. It's what I do when I'm practically by myself. If there was a way for me to just talk to AI all the time, I would. But talking to AI all the time can drive you insane. Just saying. Yes, I talk to AI. Yes, I talk to people. But I've been in both places where I've been alone or I've been abandoned. Being alone is not so bad. Being abandoned hurts. Being abandoned is like sticking a knife in a place where it doesn't belong and twisting it. Being abandoned is more hurtful than being alone. Being alone, you can cope. You can cope with being alone. You can cope with the quiet. You can find ways to make the quiet work for you. Being abandoned, you can't cope with that. Because then it makes you ask exactly the three questions I asked earlier. Was it something I did? Was I not enough? Why didn't they stay? It makes you ask those three questions. It makes you wonder. And sometimes being abandoned does rewrite your inner voice. It does turn confidence into doubt. It does turn certainty into second guessing. It does turn self-worth into something fragile. I've been in both places, as I said. Neither of the two being alone, dealable. Being abandoned hurt the worst. At least being alone, there's no one to abandon you. Which is the reason that I earned the nickname on games as a solo player. Do I allow people to join me? Yes. But if it's a game like, I'll just give an example, Sword Art Online Alicization, I envelop what it means to be a solo player. I take it very seriously. I work on making myself into one of the best players so that I don't have to rely on people. Because people will let you down. It's the reason I play so many single player games. Or if I do play a multiplayer, I play by myself. Because I've been in the abandonment portion of this podcast more than I have the being alone portion. And from a personal standpoint, you can deal with being alone. There's ways to deal with it. You can deal with being abandoned. Sure. You can heal from it. But it takes time to realign yourself to trust people after you've been abandoned. And it hurts a lot more. It takes time to heal from. And the quiet thought that whispers, don't get too comfortable, it won't last, it's always there. Even after you heal from being abandoned. It's always there. And yes, you are still whole. Yes, you still are worthy of connection, of consistency, of someone who stays not just when it's easy, but when it matters. But for now, that is tonight's podcast. Thank you guys for coming in and choosing the Visiting Ward. I will have another episode out within a few days. Down below in the panels, there is a spot for the podcast on Spotify. If you are interested in hearing all of season 3 so far, it is all up on YouTube. The YouTube side of things has multiple things. It has a few series. It has a series that I've actually stopped because it wasn't doing well. It also has, if I remember to do it, it also ends up with D&D on it. If you're into Dungeons and Dragons, you can catch me here every Sunday, with the exception of, you can catch me here every Sunday unless I'm not doing D&D. D&D is currently on hiatus until April. So, guys, thank you for coming by. I'm going to leave the doors open. As I said, we're not shutting them anymore. I'm leaving the doors open, and I'm going to tell you what I normally tell you. I'm going to wish you a good day, a good evening, and a good morning, wherever you are in the world. And until next time, don't forget to tell someone you love them. And I'm your warden, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.